Hi guys. So, one of the things that always happens every year with the Maryland Renaissance Festival is, as performers there, we do not take tips. In fact, if anyone ever at the Maryland Festival seems to be entertaining you and asks you for a tip, they don't work there. It is against our policy. Food people, rose people, fine, they do accept tips. But if you're a performer, unacceptable. It's just not done. In fact, if they don't try to turn it down when you try to tip them, something fishy is going on. That being said, a lot of attendees, patrons, people who come and love the festival and want to share with us have found a number of ways to thank us without monetary gifts. Over the year in 2021, people have been exceptionally generous. So I thought I would just share some of the more unusual gifts that I received as a performer in the course of my day during the festival. Now, keep in mind, during the festival day, I actually gift people things themselves. Pardon the Windex, I've been cleaning. But I will often gift things to people, little stones, which I do little wishes to. But it's without any intention or any request for anything to be returned. So, we're gonna look through, not the catnip, I bought that, some of the assorted and unusual gifts I was given this year. So, this was gifted to me by a little girl. After I gifted her with a stone, she found me and she gave me this as a thank you, because to her it was very magical and she thought it was appropriate for me to have. And it is just a feather that a bird dropped somewhere along the way. Yes, I keep all, if you've ever given me something, somewhere around here, I have held on to it for a significant amount of time. Every once in a while, some of those things do eventually have to be released back into the wild as they were, but generally I do. This was gifted to me by a random stranger, and it's just a, sorry, let me get me out of there. Just a braided green and yellow cord. They decided it would be good on me. They thought it would be a nice bracelet. They handed it to me and then just walked away. Again, I think this was a woman. I don't know anything else about the woman. I don't even remember what I did that made her feel that we connected, but she decided this was appropriate. Oh, and I think I might even be missing some of the things that I was gifted, but we'll talk about one or two of those. A rock that was gifted to me by a young boy, because I go through my pile of rocks where I'm building a puzzle at the end of the day, or at least I did this year. My premise being that all the black rocks you see strewn about the front of the village obviously were one big rock that has been shattered, and I'm now putting it together again as a puzzle. And regularly people would realize what I was doing and would go gather more rocks and bring them to me, because it was kind of hard for me to get up to get them. But one child came back and handed me this one separately. Now, and I've gotten a couple others. One I got that was actually a gemstone that they had gotten from the sluice mine earlier that day. I didn't realize it was from the sluice mine, and I kept that one as well. So I'm not sure where I already gifted it to the space. It might even be up there. So that was another one. Then we have from the Bubble Fairies, and for those of you who may or may, this thing is not easy to open. Basically, it's a little tiny bubble wand. And it's yellow because mustard seed. So this was from the Bubble Fairies. Then we have a Jeep duck. But let me get me out of there. This is a Jeep duck. See the Jeep duck? So yeah, so if you were involved with Jeeps, this is a Renaissance type duck. I actually, ironically, have a little duck that I found, a white duck that I found in the parking lot outside of Panera once, that just kind of touched me, and I went, I need to have that. So yeah, so I have a little duck. I was told that Jeep people give ducks to each other, so maybe, even though I'm not a Jeep owner, maybe because I had a duck, I gave that energy out. Who knows? But a woman gifted me with that. One morning, I'm walking through the village, and a young woman met maybe 20s, maybe 30s. Suddenly I was talking with her, and she starts ripping the necklace off her body and decided that it must belong to me, because I had seen it, and she showed it to me, and I just thought it was really cool. And she pulled this off her body. And let me, again, get it so you can see it. So I don't know if you can see this, but it is an acorn. Now, the really cool thing about this is if you bring up the metal, she's actually hollowed out the inside of the acorn. So it's now a little hidey hole that you can put something in and then hang around your neck and lock it with this little stone thing. It's gorgeous. Unfortunately, if you've seen Mustard Seed's hair, you know how big it is, and this couldn't get over my head to fit with it, and it didn't line up quite right with the jewelry that I already wore as Mustard Seed, but this was awesome and beautiful. So I got that as a gift. On the last day of the festival, a kind lady came up to me and told me to pick a snowflake off of her. And she was dressed all in black, but had easily 100 of these snowflakes hanging off her body. And this is not focusing. There we go. Like 100 of these snowflakes hanging off her body. And she just had me pick one. This one was on her pocket, but I liked the shape of it. And it was a thank you. She made all of these, I believe, herself, and then stiffened them, because they're not like just floppy. I mean, they're pretty solid. And this can be an ornament. It was more white, except on that corner where it dripped into something that I must have had food-wise that I found, or I got something on my hand that got on it, so I tried to clean it off as best I could. But now it's sort of gray in one corner. But that's from closing day. Oh, this one's really fun. You've seen the big mushroom craze that happened this year. So this one woman I gifted her with the stone, and she was so touched, and she had the mushroom hat and everything on, that she gifted me with this. And it is an itsy bitsy, teeny tiny little mushroom. And she made these. It's not edible mushroom, you know, it is hand painted, maybe made out of wood. If you look at the base of it, and I don't know if you can see it, but it's just this beautifully handmade little tiny mushroom, hand painted, with the standard colors all the mushroom people have been wearing this year. And she just gifted it to me as a thank you. Some friends were no, actually this wasn't from my friends doing it. A number of people dressed up as the Sanderson sisters. It's been the big trend this year, both on Day of Wrong and once earlier in the run for the hell of it. And I believe this was the group that did it earlier in the run. And when I chatted with them and told them I loved the costumes and they were great and it was wonderful. And I don't know if you can see this. Wow, the reflection is, let me see. Not my hand. This is very hard to do, guys, sorry. But on it, and I'll see if I can get a photograph of this, it says amok. And it's just this very ornately amok, amok, amok. 3 amuks with a hat, the hair, a little broomy thingy, and a cauldron with a spider web. And it's very ornate, but just beautiful. Also from the fairies, they decided I needed one of these because I can't speak. But I thought that was kind of fun. I gifted a woman dressed as a goblin with a stone, and she had me pick a bag out of her satchel. And I was a little worried because I was thinking, oh, there might be food or stuff in there. But no, there's absolutely no food. There's a spider, a shark eraser. It's got a little hole in the back so you can stick it on an eraser. This was a gift from the Green Goblin. That was her card. And a bat ring, so you could wear a little bat ring. And 8 stickers that are Halloween themed. Little teeny tiny ones. Creep It Real. and just goblins and spiders and bats and other kinds of cute things like that. And then the most amazing of it all right, if you have a fear of spiders, please do not watch this, because it is the more ornate of it. The little spider ring isn't necessarily a big deal, but this is. So I'm going to show this to everybody else, and then I will tell you when, oh good God, I will tell you when it's safe to come back. Ready? This is bad enough, and if you look closely inside, you'll see something floating in there, a little white thing floating in there, which looks like it's supposed to be its fly. Oh, but then it gets better. So now you can see what's floating in there. And, I mean, it looks like larva worms in it, and it looks like a motor that would have lit up, actually. At some point I might have lit up. But yeah, it looks like larva worms and a motor, and it's a black oogly spider, and yeah, so that's what the goblet was handing out, and now you can come back and look at the camera if you have turned away from the spiders. Okay, the last two, then there's one gentleman who is always generously and kindly gifting us with honey sticks from the honey booth. They are pre-sealed, so there's nothing to worry about, and he is a very kind soul who has been doing this for us for years. So every time I see him, he's always reaching into his pouch and hands me a honey stick as a thank you for singing and performing and everything that we do. I actually only saw him maybe once, maybe twice this year. So that is my one honey stick from him. So I'm kind of holding on for a little bit. I will end up using it, but keeping it for a memory for a moment. All right, so the next two, I've got to remember how the top one came to me. The bottom one though, okay, so there was a woman dressed as a very ornate fairy queen. Definitely a high status fairy. And I was very impressed with her costume, and she was also in an ECV. So she was driving herself around the site grounds, and I believe what looked like a butterfly or something to that effect. So she was a fairy queen on this really ornate fairy background, and I gifted her with a stone. And this was like, I don't think it was last weekend, I think it was the 8th weekend. And I gifted her with a stone, did the whole wish and the whole thing for it, and she suddenly went, I would like to give you something in return, and starts rooting through her bags. And I was like, okay. You know, you never want to go, oh no, I'm just going to run. But she was obviously not rooting for money, but rooting for something. And she looked at a couple jars, and then she handed me this one and explained to me, and again, if you're squeamish, this may freak you out. This is a snake skin sealed in jars with beeswax. Now, for those of you of a more pagan, traditional, or you know, non-Judeo-Christian religious faith, snake skins tend to be about transformation, protection, all those sort of things. I don't know what kind of snake it is, but it has been sealed very carefully and very thoroughly in this. Now, most of you who know me know I am not a fan of snakes. I'm not. But I also understand the importance of this and the spirituality of it and the respect, because this is not something you just randomly, oh, I'm gonna grab a couple things of snake skin and cover it with beeswax. There you go, poof. You know, this took effort. In the same way that this little tiny mushroom took an insane amount of effort. This takes effort. So I didn't just, you know, go, ah, you know, or whatever. But yeah, so I'm gonna use that for the, she didn't tell me what the whole premise behind it was. I'm hoping it's protection. We'll find out. But she's that was an insanely impressive gift. And then a little child again, another one where I'm collecting the stones and I'm doing the stuff, gifted me very generously with this one, this beautiful crystal. And it's got a little bit of a quartz, like a smoky quartz. But to every single person who gifted me with something, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You know, when I worked at a Hat Pass fair, if a child ended up giving you not money, but like dropped their piece of candy in your tip bowl, I always took that as a huge respect and a huge honor, because that's all they could afford. And a kid giving up a piece of candy is a big deal. You know, like a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old giving up their candy, it's a big deal. And sometimes you don't have the money. And the money was, while it made a difference at a tip fair, it's not the important thing. It's about the heart behind it and the appreciation that they're showing you. Because when you're doing street, it's not like you get applause. You know, you're having an interaction, you're having that moment. So to everyone who gifted me with something, including the gentleman who gave me a chocolate bar at like weekend 4 and said, save it for closing so I could eat it, that is gone. But everyone who showed me their generosity, went and grabbed stones for me so I could make my puzzle that day, or found me a leaf, and I have a couple leaves probably stored around here too from this year, or whatever they found. Thank you. Thank you for your appreciation of what I do. Thank you for understanding and loving the gift that I was able to give to you and sharing it back with me. You know, performing, it's a shared experience. And without the person to share it with, the audience, the people who it is created for, you know, it doesn't mean anything. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you so much. I look forward to and hope to be able to share more joy with you next year and more magic. And if all goes well, you will find Mustard Seed again in the streets performing on the stage as well. You know, we'll see what happens. But it would be a bright blessing for me to share all that with you. And there'll be more Disney content coming up most of this year. There might be a little more Ren Fair discussion stuff, but really most of what you're going to see is Disney, Universal, and gluten-free dining reviews, which I'm dressed up to go out and get a dining review, so you'll see. You may have already seen it, or you may see it differently. Or you may see it on my YouTube channel if I've put this on Facebook. I still haven't decided where it's going yet, but I did want you guys to see that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And like, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. Follow me on YouTube. You can follow me, same name, PTP Grad, on Instagram. You can, if you want to make a contribution to me on the off season, you can contribute to my Dole Whip fund, which is on my Ko-fi page, or PayPal, and those are usually in the descriptions of all of my vlogs, so that, you know, I can continue to bring you this content, and you can help support the cause, as it were. And if you can't, that's fine. Just enjoy, like, share, be part of that experience. And I don't have a tagline. Singing, hey ho, a maiden's life, 1, 2, 3. Hey ho, a maiden's life, won't you drink with me?